Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, we're going to look at the very, very short studio discography of progressive rock supergroup UK. Now, I know many of you are probably saying, but Pete, why the hell are you bothering with on the show with a band that only ever released 2 studio albums? And I get that. And I thought that as well. But then the more I thought about it, it's like, well, you know what? We haven't really done a kind of album versus album thing in a while. And I find like when I talk to folks who are fans of this band, the conversation always gets around to, well, which album did you like better? Okay. So I thought, all right, well, this would be a perfect show then to talk about a band's short but sweet discography, but still to get some conversation going in the comments and feedback below about, well, which one of these 2 stellar albums in their catalog do you guys like better? All right. So, of course, we got, 1978 and 79. Band was formed in 77. By 1980, pretty much done. They've gotten back together in various incarnations over the years. But for all intents and purposes, 2 albums and done, right? And a fantastic live album, too, released back in the day. But you've got the first album, self-titled UK, right? And then the second album, Danger Money, released a year later. Big differences between both bands, right? So for the debut, you've got on keyboards and electric violin, you've got Eddie Jobson, of course, played with Curved Air and Frank Zappa. All right, you got John Wetton on bass and lead vocals, of course, from King Crimson, Roxy Music, Uriah Heep, Family, so on and so forth. Played with so many great acts throughout the course of the 70s. Alan Holdsworth on lead guitar. Okay, of course, Alan played with Tony Williams' Lifetime and Soft Machine and Gong and solo albums, all that kind of stuff, right? And then, of course, you got on drums, you got Bill Bruford, formerly of Yes and King Crimson. So a true supergroup for that debut album, which for me, well, before I get to that. So, of course, the guys go out, they release the album, they do a tour, right? And then before you know it, some of the guys in the band are thinking that, maybe not a great fit with Holdsworth. He's kind of maybe a little too jazzy for us, what have you. Bilford doesn't really agree. And, I think based on what I've heard and read, I think Bruford already had kind of wanted to start up his own bands, right? And really wanted Holdsworth to be a part of that. So he was kind of like, all right, well, if he's going to go, I think I'm going to go as well. And we'll just start up something new and fresh, which obviously became Bruford. And then in steps Terry Bozzio, also who's played with Frank Zappa, right? And the band decides not to replace Holdsworth and just kind of go as a trio of Jobson, Wetton, and Bozzio. Okay, and the result was the Danger Money album. Also a very fine album, very different. Okay, I find both of these albums pretty different. Different is good, right? So I'm going to rank them here, okay, just for the purposes of doing it. My least favorite of the 2, and least favorite's kind of stretching it because I do love both of these. I would say it would be Danger Money, and I would favor the debut. I'll tell you why. It's got Alan Holdsworth on it, all right? I find, it's one of my favorite guitar players, right? And he's all over this in a great way. And I think that this album is a little kind of lighter, airier, maybe catchier song fare. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. I just love the kind of interplay between the guitar and the violin and the synths and all that kind of stuff on here. And I think, for me, this album is just maybe a little bit more challenging, interesting to listen to than the stuff on Danger Money. But, Danger Money's got the great title track, very good song, catchy. Bozzio's drumming on here is top-notch. Rendezvous, obviously a killer song. The Only Thing She Needs, great. Caesar's Palace, very fun, very cool song. Nothing to Lose is a great song. Probably the most, for me, my favorite song on here. Carrying No Cross, good, very solid, top to bottom. If the debut never existed, I think we would all be proclaiming, what a prog classic this is. And it still is. But for me, the debut is going to take the number 1 spot out of the 2. In the Dead of Night, drop dead legendary, a killer Holdsworth solo on there. By the Light of Day, Presto Vivace and Reprise, right? You got 30 Years. 30 Years is spectacular. I mean, the synths in this song, and, Wetton's vocals and bass playing throughout this album is spectacular. You throw Bruford into the mix here. You got great solos by Holdsworth. The Drop Dead, gorgeous Alaska. You got Time to Kill, Nevermore, and, of course, Mental Medication. I just think for me, top to bottom, I just absolutely adore this album. But like I said, this album is not far from it. If you're to stack them up head to head, right, it's really damn close. They're different, all right? With guitars and all this kind of really cool noodling and playing, and then probably a little more concise songwriting and, musical passages, no less captivating, I would say. But it all depends on, kind of what you like, right? I think we all can agree that both of these records are damn good. CDs, records, it's an album, right? So whatever you want to call it. So I love them both. So again, I wanted to do this show because it's like, I'm not going to discount, because I know a lot of you have asked, I'm not going to discount some of these great bands who only released a couple albums. I'm going to do those as well. And I think those are just as fun because we wind up talking about the bands more than just the albums. We know the albums are great. There's only a couple of them, but let's talk about the bands. And, we'll talk about which of their albums do we like a little better, right? So there are going to be others, a lot of you have asked for Captain Beyond. We're going to do Captain Beyond at some point, right? There's all sorts of other bands that fall into this kind of category that notable bands, but man, didn't stick around too long, and maybe not enough albums to rank. Well, you know what? Why not? Why not? So anyway, curious to see, which one do you like, UK or Danger Money? In the comments below, remember, there's no right or wrong answer. They're both great. It all depends on how you hear it, all right, or which one meant more to you when they first came out, that sort of thing. Because I know a lot of people who are go big one way or the other, and that just seems to be the way with these two. So there's not a general consensus, at least among the people that I know I've talked to, that they favor the one with Holdsworth over this one. I know a lot of people who love this one more. That's totally cool, right? For me, I favor the debut, but that's just because, of the reasons I stated before. So anyway, cast your vote below. Discuss these two great albums. Which lineup you like better? Which album you like better, and why? And could also talk about how cool it would have been if this band continued on, right? Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. What do we got coming up? Going to do a listening room tomorrow, all right? Tomorrow, also, going to rank the studio albums of Armored Saint for all you 80s metal fans out there. That's coming tomorrow. What else? In the days and weeks ahead, I think I've already mentioned a bunch of things, but got Steve Keeler is going to guest on the show this weekend. We're going to rank, along with Chris Allo, we're going to rank the studio albums of Metallica, all right? Steve and I are going to do a top 10 songs of Opeth, also this weekend. All right. Tomorrow, Steve Fleck is coming on the show. We're going to do top 10 songs of 38 Special, top 10 songs of Toto. All right. Jeff Young and I are getting together fairly soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be this week or next week. We're going to rank the studio albums of Fleetwood Mac. All right. Nick Franco's coming on the show soon. We're going to do a top 10 songs of Halloween. All right. I'm going to rank the albums of Van de Graaff Generator and Ronnie James Dio, the Dio Band. That's coming up soon, too. A lot of cool stuff coming up, guys. So if you're, looking for more content while we're all at home, you're going to get it. So like I said, visit us on the web. Check out our webzine, www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. We'll see you guys tomorrow with more stuff. Take care. Bye-bye.